Hello and welcome to the Rusted Brush. Today I'm going to be starting a new series of videos I'll be doing, painting the uniforms of the provinces of the Empire. Each video will be about a different province and I'll discuss a little bit about that province, move on to making a model, and painting it to represent that province. I won't be following any specific timeline for Warhammer, and we will include provinces that no longer exist in lore. A lot of my information will be coming from the Empire War book, different editions of rulebooks and army books, the uniforms and heraldry of the Empire, and from the various wiki pages for the provinces. If this series becomes enjoyable and popular enough, I'll move on to doing the specific cities' uniforms and the unique regiments as well. Anyways, to start the series, the first province we'll be taking a look at is Talabecland, so let's jump in. Talabecland is a central province of the Empire, known for its vast forests, deep rivers, and strong traditions. It is dominated by the Great Forest and the mighty river Talabec, making it an important trade route and a natural border between the provinces. The capital is Talabecland, a heavily fortified city built within a massive crater. While officially part of Talabecland, Talabheim is largely independent and ruled by elected count of Talabecland only in name. Despite its central location, Talabecland has faced challenges, including constant skirmishes with beastmen, greenskins, and other lurking threats in the forest. Talabeclanders tend to favor red and yellow in their uniforms. Culturally, they're seen as devout followers of Tal, the god of nature and wild places, and many of their settlements blend into the deep forests. This connection to Tal also makes them wary of travelers and deeply traditional. The banner of Talabecland features a crowned red eagle on a yellow background. While the symbol is often associated with Myrmidia, in Talabecland, it's believed that it represents the keen vision of Tal. Other common heraldic devices include skulls, antlered heads, and the sacred tree of Tal. When Talabecland regiments cross the river Talabec, they ceremoniously dip their banners into the waters, seeking Tal's blessing. The province has a strong martial tradition, with disciplined state troops, particularly halberdiers and greatswords. And that's a brief look at Talabecland. So now, let's move on to making a model and painting it. I have a fairly large collection of Empire and other various human bits, and this is a perfect project to start using them for. It was also another reason why I decided to start this project. So for the model, I'm using the body and spear of the 6th edition starter set Empire Soldier. I feel this will show that more standard look that I'm going to be going for. I'm swapping the head for a head from the Empire's Archer kit, a sheathed sword and shield both from the Wargames Atlantic Conquistador kit, the small pouch is from the Archer's kit, and this small horn is from a Nurgling. I'm going to be using this as a horn from a beast, like some sort of trinket blessed by Tal. Now, one of the reasons I chose Talabecland as the first province to start with is because of how fairly standard and balanced their overall look is. Your uniforms, while bold in red and yellow, aren't overly extravagant or rugged, making them a great baseline for understanding Empire uniforms. Talabecland sits a nice middle ground. They have strong martial traditions, but their soldiers aren't heavily adorned as Reichlands or as desperate looking as Stirlands. This makes them a great starting point before we dive into more unique or extreme provincial styles. The assembly was pretty basic, cutting off the head, adding some accessories to the back and side. I made a rough looking belt with some green stuff to hold the animal horn. I then began to work on his base, and I want to mention here that each base will be different for each province. I wanted some old looking cobblestone, which I made from some movement trade bits I wasn't going to use. I cut them into bricks and roughed them up a little bit. I then added some lichen to the base, and it was ready to attach the model to the base and begin priming. Prime the model with white to start with since we're going to be painting with predominantly warmer, lighter colors and with speed paints. I started by painting the yellow with a 1-to-1 mix of Everland Sunset and Zealot Yellow speed paint. This is going on one half of his arms, legs, and shield. For the reds, I used Vermilion Red from AK mixed with a bit of Bal Red contrast paint. Like the yellow, this is going on the upper halves as well as on the tassel of his spear. The feather on his hat and shoes were painted with Black Legion. I thought the feather painted red or yellow would be a bit much, and I think the black makes for a good accent color. I then started painting the smaller details like the horn and his mustache were painted with Pallid Bone speed paint. I painted the sheath, the spear, and his sock with dark wood speed paint, and his hat, bag, and belt were painted with hardened leather. All the metal bits like the armor and spear tip were painted with lead belcher. I then painted his skin Cadian flesh tone. I then used Bad Moon Yellow as a sort of wash for the yellow bits, and I did the same thing with Ball Red for the red parts. I also used a wash of Agrax Earthshade on all the metal bits. And while I waited for the washes to dry, I started working on the base. I painted the stones with a Gravelord Grey mix with Uniform Grey, and I highlighted the feather with this as well. This skin got a wash of Crusader skin to give it a nice tonal shift and some depth. And then it was time to start highlighting the model. Starting with the yellow, I highlighted these areas with Flash Gets Yellow. I then highlighted the red areas with Vermilion Red. The brown sock and sheath were highlighted with Catachin Flesh mixed with small amount of Carrick Stone. I painted the spear with just Carrick Stone. I didn't really like the dark tone for it, and I think this color looks much better. I moved my focus to painting the lichen on the base with Vallejo Bright Green. I wanted this to be some sort of vegetation growing around the cobblestone. I then painted the bag, belt, and hat with Xandru Dust, and the horn with Ushabti Bone. The battles were highlighted with Lead Belcher. I didn't want the armor to look too bright or too weathered, and I think this was a good call to make the armor seem fairly common. The skin was then highlighted with Cadian Flesh Tone on all the raised areas, leaving a reddish tone in the depths. I then painted the base with Wet Ground from AK, trying to avoid getting on the model or too much on the cobblestones. While I waited for that to dry, I thought the vegetation was too bright, so I applied Ghillie Dew speed paint to it and the surrounding area. Then I applied a matte varnish to all the non-metallic bits of the model. I like the metallic bits to have a bit more of a shine, so I avoid them. I touched up the cobblestone with Uniform Grey with a little bit of Gravelord Grey mixed in. Added a tub from Army Painter I had lying around to the base to finish it off. And looking at the model, I wanted to add a bit more to signify that they're from Talabecland, so I started painting a tree on his shield with Pallid Witch Flesh for the bark. This looks a bit rough as I'm not the best freehand painter, but my excuse here is that maybe this is something that the soldier is painting himself. I added leaf to the branches using Vallejo Intermediate Green. Then I applied an enamel wash of Streaking Grime from AK to the shield and the lower parts of the model. And with that, our first model is complete for this series. I think this Talabecland soldier really captures the bold yet practical look of the province, with the striking red and yellow uniform, the added trinket, and the hand-painted shield for that personal touch. This was a great starting point for exploring the uniforms of the Empire, and I'm excited to continue with more provinces, each with their own unique character and aesthetic. Let me know in the comments what province I should do next. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next installment in this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.